Guys, welcome back. So we are looking more at comparison operators. So we've already looked at some of the basic comparison operators. Comparison operators are inside of our if block or whatever test, parentheses we're using. So we've looked at the very simple ones, such as greater than, less than, or is equal. And I'm going to pause just to mention that in this lesson, we're going to take a couple small different things. I think there's like 3 different things we're going to look at, and we're going to pause and do 3 different exercises or more, right? With each of those things, rather than splitting this up into 3 separate videos. This will be a simpler way to do it, and it'll be pretty quick. So all right. So in addition to testing to say if A is less than B or A is greater than B or whatever we're doing, we may also want to test to see that A is equal to B at the same time. So for example, like A is less than or equal to B. So how do we test for that? PHP offers some comparison operators for that. The less than or equal to, or the greater than or equal to. So in this case, A equals 5 and B equals 5. Let me put in a comment doohickey so we can run this. Okay, there it is. All right. So that's what we're expecting. A is less than or equal to B. So let me pull these comments out. So for the exercise for this one, write a program that takes a numeric grade score. So like if you were grading like a student's paper, like 0 to 100, and have it print the message A if the score is greater than or equal to 90. And then modify it to print a message B if the score is between 80 and 89. So good stuff. Pause the video here and do that, and then we'll come back and then come back when we're done. All right, okay, so PHP offers us a way to test if 2 variables or values are equal and if they're identical. And what I mean by that is that with the way PHP variables work, we can type juggle a string value of, say, the number 20 to be an integer value and compare that to an integer value. So we've been looking at using the is equal operator, A is equal to B, and that will do type juggling and test if something is equal after type juggling. There's also an operator for equal, which stands for is identical, so that will only return true if the values are equal and of the same type, right? So if they're both integers, it'll pass, or if they're both float, it'll pass, or if they're both string, it'll pass, right? But if one is an integer and one is a string, it will fail, or it'll return false. So in our example here, we already know that, so this is what I mean, like in our example, our first example, if quantity is equal to 20, result will be equal. Let me put in the little comment doomahickeys. Oop. To test this without running the rest of the whole script. Okay, result is equal. Now, if we want to test, we're going to test here to see that we're going to use the is identical operator, and what we should get is that result is not identical and equal of the same type. So let me run that, and that's what we get, right? So it fails because one is an integer and the other is a string. So now we've looked at testing things if they're equal. How do we test if something is not equal? So So PHP offers a not equal operator. So if we just want to test that A is not equal to B, PHP lets us use the not equal operator. So let me run this. So you can see that they're not equal. So 5 is not equal to 10, right? The exercise for the not equal operator, and I want you to pause and do the exercise. Write a program that takes with 2 integer variables, a and b, and if they're not equal, print a message. So it's pretty much what I did right there, but it's a good thing to do just to do it just for the exercise. So pause the video here and do that, and then we'll go on to the next part. All right, so the PHP not operator. So we can use the exclamation point by itself to test to see if or to basically give us the opposite of a thing, or to test for the not of something, right? I'll get into that in just a second. So we've already looked at if something is equal and something is not equal. In this case, in this string comparison case, strcmp compares 2 strings to see if they are case sensitive equal. And in this case, because we're spelling one with a capital J and one with a lowercase j, we can expect this to fail. The names will be not case sensitive, or names will not match in a case sensitive way. And we can also, we covered that in our previous thing. We can also test for the not of something just using the not operator by itself. So a is equal to true. So if not a, that will fail, but our else statement should print. So let's run this. Okay, so we got our 2 things, the names, well, this code should print. So we got our expected output from that. So for the exercise for this one, rewrite the strcmp test with the not operator instead of testing for equal 0. Or, excuse me, instead of testing for is equal to 0. So, lots of exercises in this one. Cool. So you guys should be good. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one.